And welcome to the HODLNOTS weekly warm-up for the news at 9 a.m. UTC. It's currently 11 o'clock in South Africa. I'm John.
And I'm Vicky, currently 7 p.m. in Australia.
And let's get into some of the crypto headlines from this week.
So, first of all, we are heading close to my Australia into Vietnam as Vietnam legalizes crypto under a new digital technology law. So, Vietnam has passed a sweeping digital technology law that legalizes crypto assets and outlines incentives for AI, semiconductors, and infrastructure. The legislation, set to take effect on the 1st of January 2026, recognizes crypto's assets and lays the groundwork for a broader digital innovation across the country.
Indeed. Another country in the news, and that is Syria. All right, so Binance is just launched in Syria after Trump has lifted sanctions. So Binance rollout in Syria features full access launch. All right, pretty exciting, allowing Syrians to trade at least 300 different tokens, including Bitcoin, XRP, TON, and many more.
That's actually huge. That's really exciting for Syrians. And also down south again to Brazil. So Brazil ends crypto tax exemptions and imposes a 17.5% flat rate on gains instead. So Brazil has scrapped crypto tax exemptions for small traders and enforces that flat rate across all gains, including self-custody and offshore holdings.
And then let's look at another use case for Bitcoin. Brazil, sorry, not Brazil, but Bitcoin-backed loans are opening up the real estate market to the crypto rich, and that's tax-free. So Bitcoin holders are using crypto-backed loans to buy real estate without selling their Bitcoin, avoiding capital gains taxes while staying exposed to the upside momentum of Bitcoin. Then let's look further into exciting news and explosions. ETF filings are exploding in 2025 so far, heating up the hopes of an altcoin summer. Now, that's obviously in the Northern Hemisphere. This year has seen an uptick in the number of altcoin ETF applications, with at least 31 different ETF applications having been filed in the first half of this year.
That is exploding, isn't it? And speaking of filings, for those who have been following XRP lawsuit, that is predicted that the lawsuit could end soon. There's a 70% chance of settlement. So, after 4 years of a legal battle, the Ripple versus SEC case could finally be over. Both parties have recently filed a joint motion to settle. So, Ripple aims to unlock $125 million from escrow. 50 million would go to the SEC as a civil penalty, and 75 million would return to Ripple. The goal is to wrap it up without any more delays or appeals. And wouldn't that be fantastic for us? So just watch Ripple if you've been looking at that for quite a long time, just to see what it does after that happens, should it happen.
Absolutely. We're looking for any coin that moves at any point, but news like this is important. What else is in the news as well is that 93% of all Bitcoin ever has been already been mined. We're looking at about 19.6 million out of the 21 hard cap having been mined. More on that in the next HODLNOTS Happy Hour Hangout as we delve into that and what it means for you and I, anybody within the crypto space. Then another interesting topic that we're going to be delving into as well is that you've all heard of strategy has been assimilating as much Bitcoin as possible, and so has BlackRock. BlackRock owns 3% of all Bitcoin out there. But what's interesting is the paradox. So we all know Bitcoin was built as a decentralized alternative to centralized finance, right? However, when you get something like BlackRock, one of the world's largest, if not the world's largest asset manager, buying up over 600,000 Bitcoin via centralized vehicles, it creates this paradox. This decentralized asset is increasingly controlled by centralized institutions. More on that in the HODLNOTS Happy Hour Hangouts in the next couple of weeks.
And speaking of centralized institutions, two of the world's largest cryptocurrency companies are poised to secure licensing, granting them access to operate across the EU. So as a rift grows among regulators, these two exchanges are trying to get in there. So Gemini, which is a big exchange, is set to go into Malta and Coinbase into Luxembourg. So hopefully that will open up more of the EU to more exchanges. So watch that space.
Now, speaking about space, not quite the new frontier, but big giants such as Walmart and Amazon are exploring their own plans to launch stablecoins. So what does that mean? All right, American retail giants Amazon and Walmart are considering this possibility. This move could potentially change the way consumers pay for goods online, while helping large retailers reduce the costly transaction fees. There we go, crypto in play.
Crypto in play, indeed, and that's actually very exciting as well. I keep saying exciting, but it is exciting. This space is exciting. What is not so well? Actually, it would be very exciting in quotation marks for this next poor person. So, a 26-year-old crypto trader who creates content on TikTok was actually kidnapped in France this week, on Friday. He was released a day later when the abductors discovered that he did not have enough funds to cover their $50,000 euro extortion demands. But that would have been, let's say, exciting for him and interesting for everyone that does TikTok, actually.
Well, I mean, there are all these kind of things coming into play. People are looking at kidnappings, and there's
Yeah.
there's some fear around it. But let's move on from the news into the fear and greed side of things, Vicky.
Oh, I got it right. No, yes, I got it right that time. So the Fear and Greed Index this week, which tracks the overall crypto sentiment, has gone into the greed zone. So it was neutral last week when we looked at it, and now it's gone into the greed zone. It's greed, despite, which is interesting, despite the rising geopolitical tensions after Israel launched a series of airstrikes on Iran. So it posted a score of 63 today, despite what's going on, and it's maintaining its position in the greed territory. Also, despite Bitcoin falling to 103,000, I think, on Friday, although I see it's up to 106 today. So those of you who were on the happy hour hangout know what this greed means because we did all about the fear and greed index last week. And if you hadn't watched it yourself, there is a recording to watch. So it's actually really interesting, the fear and greed index and how we can use that to trade for the week. So please do watch that if you can.
Well, speaking about Bitcoin and
Mm.
the week, back at 107,000, and we're gonna have a quick look now. If you guys are feeling buoyant around that news, pop a little emoji. If you're feeling good, not greedy, but you're feeling positive and buoyant around the market, pop it in there. If not, drop us a sad one as well. But let's have a quick look. You guys are too kind. You're laughing at the fear and greed index? All right, let's have a look. Let's get into this now. So, having a look at Bitcoin for the moment. This, as usual, is the day chart. You can see some recovery around that. So we did have, the news over the Friday or so around the Israel and Iran tensions. We did see a drop there as the oil price did spike. Bitcoin went down, all the risky assets, but there's been some stabilization over the last couple of days. So we're looking at Bitcoin here. For those of you who know, we're looking still at this beautiful green cloud on the day, nice momentum there. We're having a look at some recovery happening down at the moment. We're still finding some nice supports in this front side of something, right? Good. All right, so that's just looking at Bitcoin itself. With the HODLNOTS indicator, if we bring in the HODL fire, you can see there is some good confirmation around that, the fact that we still got that support. We might have a temporary top there at the moment, but all right, and as you break it down into lower time frames, we can have a look and see that we're still going sideways here, ladies and gents. We still obviously have to break that all-time high of 111,980, where it's still very much possible. But something to consider into play, if we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the day, We did see a little respite there early last week, just after this call from last week. And we saw that it dropped for a bit and the alts ran a little. But at the moment, we're still seeing it's still quite high up in terms of this weather forecast in the crypto space, is that we do see a pivot top on the day, temporary at the moment. We'd like to see this start to drop again. Right. And again, if we bring back the HODLNOTS indicator, we know that there is some support in around that. We'd like to see that start breaking down, kind of that cascade effect, and we start to see some recovery for the alts as cash doesn't go into Bitcoin as much, but more into these alts. And that's what we're looking for over here on HODLNOTS, that volatility where we can make scalp trades within minutes and take some great profits. All right, so that was a quick look at the Bitcoin chart. So let's see what's happening at least within the HODLNOT space for the rest of the week.
Yeah, so there are quite a few lodge calls as usual in the lodge. So today we have an 8 p.m. UTC lodged call with Wendy. So that's her training and trading call with everyone in the lodge. So please jump on. Then we have a couple calls on Wednesday this week. We have the 7 p.m. UTC, which is 2 hours earlier than normal for the HODL Fire call. So if you are a HODL Fire member, the call is 2 hours earlier than normal at 7 p.m. UTC, and you can get all the details in your Bitcoin Trending Forecast account. Then on Wednesday as well, right after the HODL Fire call, there is an 8 p.m. UTC HODL dot call. So if you're part of the the 3M challenge, the Minute Money Masters challenge, do jump on that. And then there is another Minute Money Masters dot call help call on Thursday at 8 a.m. UTC. So there's quite a few of those in the lodge this week. So jump on as many as you can, as
Of
usual.
course. And then, of course, the we currently have the live course on at the moment,
Mm,
so we'll have class with those students
yeah.
shortly, and then the self-paced course as well. Lots going on in this week. Now, speaking of lots going on, we ran a contest last week, and we have a winner. So we're gonna have a quick look at that. Unsure if the person's on the call at the moment, but have a quick look. So well done, Clem's King X Plus. Or Clem's King 2. Ladies and gents, as simple as engaging with the post on Twitter or Facebook and Instagram. So looking at that, you guys can go look at the same post. Very simple. Would you guys like the HODLNOTS indicator for 30 days? Right? Cool. Very simply, all you need to do, click on the post, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and tag two of your friends and be like, well, let's get X person to join. All right, need two of them. And those are members or people who are not yet members of Bitcoin Trend and Forecast. We want to share the love around the HODLNOTS indicators. So very simply, to enter, tag two of your friends, anybody who isn't part of Bitcoin Trend and Forecast. We'd love to give you and your two friends the the HODL Fire indicator for 30 days. It's as simple as that. So jump in. The post is live. We will be drawing the next winner on Thursday at 1 p.m. UTC. So that'll be in 4 days and a couple of hours from now to simply get involved with that. Now, time to get involved.
Okay, so we haven't done this in a while, and for people in the lodge, you might recognize this if you have been on Liesel's calls. We are going to do some aerobics. What is aerobics? Well, it's important to stop looking at the screen for a while. We look at the screen too much, our necks get tight, our eyes get tight, our body gets tight. So it's really important to do some stretches. So let's do a few stretches now. And the first one, we're going to look up and down. And yes, up, I want the HODL Fire. Down, yes, I want the HODL Fire. Down. Let's do a couple of those first. Then no, you are not getting the HODLNOTS indicator. You are getting the HODL Fire instead. So no left, no right. Hands in the air. Who wants the HODL Fire? Stretch to the left, stretch to the right. Oh, am I doing left or right though? Left or right? We're doing the opposite. So it's a bit of fun, but it is really important. Please don't sit at your desk all day. Get up, stretch, look far in the distance. You don't want to get bad eyes, bad neck, bad bum, bad back, bad anything. So it's a little bit of fun, but it is actually really important. So thank you. I'm sure all of you at home were doing the same thing as we were.
Well, they were exercising, but they were exercising their facial muscles that they were laughing at us. So thank you for
With
participating in that
us,
part.
with
Remember, do go
us.
outside. If you're not in snow, remember to touch some grass, get out there, see some greenery. That is super
Yeah.
important. And on that note, Vicky's going to share the weekly thought with us.
Oh, the weekly thought is so whatever you must do today, do it with the confidence of a 4-year-old child in a Batman cape.
There we go. Did with confidence of a 4-year-old child in a Batman's cape. That is wise words, much like the one from Cauliflower last week. Thank you for joining this week's HODLNOTS weekly warm-up. We hope you learned something. Hope you managed to stretch the muscles, look at Bitcoin, wait for that dominance to drop. Yes, HODLNOTS rule indeed. See you on the live calls, and we'll catch you all same time, same place next week. Ciao, ciao.